remember this documentary that I made, the miniseries, right? The hidden reasons behind the war on Gaza. And I explained it, and you can see in the documentary how these U.S. officials, like Condoleezza Rice and others, going back decades, they were saying, well, the United States needs to make sure that Europe doesn't rely on European gas anymore, right? And they succeeded in that. So if you recall, before the Ukraine war started, right, Russia used to give, that used to be the number one source of European gas, right? So what the United States did is they executed a coup in Ukraine. They provoked Russia with NATO expansion, and then they put all of these sanctions on Russia. And now the United States replaced Russia as the number one source of gas for Europe. So they made Europe dependent on the United States instead of Russia. Okay? Look, this is from the EU themselves. Okay? This is, it's astonishing. You see that highlighted in green? That's the United States. Okay? That's the volume of gas imported in 2021, right? In billion cubic meters. It jumps from 18.9 to 56.3 to 79.4. And of course, Russian gas has gone from 41% so total EU energy importing from Russia was 41% in 2021, and now it's 6%. So they dealt with Russia, okay? They destroyed the Russian competition. That's gone. And they solidified United States or American control over Europe. Now, in the last days, what did we see? We see this South Pass gas field being bombed, and of course this is the largest gas field in the world, and it's shared by Qatar and Iran. Now, the United States and Israel have been going up the escalation ladder, knowing that now this is not the same Iran of a year ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. They knew, right? They could see after 2 weeks that, okay, if we hit their gas, they're definitely going to hit the wells on this side, because some people haven't understood why that was significant. Iran were hitting refineries before. They were not hitting the wells or the gas and oil at the source, right? So that's what changed yesterday. Israel and the United States crossed this line for the first time. They went for the source, which basically you're turning the tap off, right? If you can't access the source because it's been destroyed or blown up or it's basically inaccessible, you can't send it to anyone, right? You can't refine it, you can't do anything. So Iran responded in kind, and I think they knew that, and I think that's why they did this whole good cop, bad cop, where Donald Trump was like, oh, the Israelis didn't tell me anything. Look, the United States don't give anyone their equipment without knowing exactly who they are, what they're going to use it for, and it's probably backdoored to 50 ways to Sunday. Okay? Just logistically speaking also, you can't mount that kind of assault without making noise. When I say noise, I mean leaving, signatures, basically radio chatter, logistics. Everyone in the region, never mind the United States, would have been aware, oh look, the Israelis are fueling their jets, they're calling up these pilots. It's too obvious, you can't do that secretly. So this nonsense that the United States didn't know is complete bollocks. They knew, they absolutely knew, and I think they banked on the fact that Iran would hit Qatar's side of the field, right? An eye for an eye. So now, the European Union, which gets 9% of its LNG, liquefied natural gas from Qatar, that's gone. So now America is going to, for 100%, eat up Qatar's share. So now they've taken even more control of the European market, right? And they've also cut off so Qatar's LNG used to go mainly to China, right? So now they've also crippled China, they've crippled BRICS, and they've crippled the New Silk Road. And they've also did that with Syria and Israel, right? Like Israel tried to steal gas from Lebanon with the Karish gas field, right? They showed up with that massive FPSO to suck the gas out of the seabed, and Hezbollah were like, if you do that, we'll fire on you, and then they buggered off. But they tried it, right? And then they sent Amos Hochstein, who's basically an Israeli asset, to kind of, fix the maritime issue. The Israelis basically made sure that either through the US or through their own ships, or basically, again, we don't know for sure, but I suspect they probably destroyed the Beirut port, that Lebanon is out of action, that it's too politically and economically unstable to extract the gas themselves. So as long as Israel can't do it, they're making sure Lebanon can't do it. And they took out Bashar al-Assad, and when Assad was still in power, they were bombing Latakia ports, they were bombing Tartus, which are the major naval ports in Syria, and of course with Gaza, all of these, Lebanon, Gaza, Syria, Palestine, they're all connected. They share the same Levantine basin. So this is, again, one of the largest gas fields in the world. And the Israelis, the Americans through Israel, basically have control of that now. Okay? You understand? So that's taken care of too. And that crippled the Silk Road, because Syria was supposed to be the hub, the maritime hub that connects the Mediterranean Sea to the rest of the Asian continent. And that's out of the picture now. Okay? That's out of the picture. So they took care of that. And now with Qatar, the United States are going to take over. They're going to take over the LNG that used to be supplied to Europe. Okay? And if you look at also, if you look at, you know, the... One second, let me pull this up on the screen so you can read this yourselves from the mainstream media. Okay? Look at how they're gloating. Iran war, this is from Bloomberg, Iran war is good for America's natural gas industry. You don't say. Really? How good is it exactly? How good? Shall we take a look at the dollar? How's the dollar doing right now? How's the dollar doing? It's doing pretty good. As a matter of fact, gold and silver are down. Look at that. I have never seen anything like that. Gold has gone down worse than that, right? Like by what was it, 30% in 2008? But it took months to do that. I've never seen gold go down by 10% in a day. That is ridiculous. And silver as well, going down 5%. Sorry, it's the other way around. Gold 5 and silver 10. The point is, that never happens. It happens maybe across a few months, but not in a day. And the reason this is happening is because everybody is scrambling to sell their insurance, which is gold and silver, to get dollars so they can buy LNG, because the United States are the only suppliers left. Do you understand what they've done, the Americans? It's so evil and genius. It's really, like I said, there's theft and extortion and imperialism, and then there's the United States. And this is just unbelievable. And it's not all. It's not all. So if you look at the one second. Yeah, so if you look at this Maritime Action Plan, which just so happened to be introduced a month ago. It's called the Maritime Action Plan, MAP. So the United States introduced this a month ago, and they're forcing all of their LNG ships to switch to American-made ships. Okay? So if you are a trader and you sell liquefied natural gas to Europe and to anywhere else, you have to switch to a US-made ship. So now the United States is basically forcing the whole fleet of these gas-carrying taxis to give to get rid of their old ships, which are made abroad, and inject that money into the US economy. So they're making double the money now. Do you understand? There's no flight of capital, and it stays inside of the US circuit. Unbelievable, right? What a racket. It's unbelievable, right? Here it is from the New York Times. I mean, like, I'm stunned no one caught on to this whole racket that I'm laying out in front of you. It's unbelievable. Okay, this is from last month. Yeah, new rules designed to encourage domestic shipbuilding. Yeah, encourage domestic shipbuilding is a very nice way to put it, right? So the Trump administration issued rules that require at least 1% of the natural gas shipped overseas to be carried on US-built tankers in 2029. Okay? They generally favor more open arrangements. Yeah, what that means basically is they want to save as much money as they can, and that's why they're claiming that it's impossible and they can't do it. It's possible. It's just that they don't want to do it. But for the United States, if you zoom out and you look at this macroeconomically, you know, as an empire, this is very, very good, you know, because you're basically solidifying US energy dominance. And you have to remember the US, they're the #1 exporter of LNG, and they're the #1 producer of oil. So they've got everything going for them right now. And by the way, do you want to guess when they became the #1 exporter of LNG? It's after Ukraine. Right? Just a coincidence. It's a pure coincidence. They happened just after Ukraine, right? There's nothing to do with blowing up Nord Stream and the sanctions packages, right? Nothing to do with that. It's just a pure coincidence. The United States is, you know, Trump is chaotic. I mean, these people, man, these people. Right? And it's not only that. Donald Trump is also introducing a bodyguard fee. You may have noticed he's been saying things like, well, you know, we want to get through the Strait of Hormuz, and we'll if you for a reasonable price, we'll even come with you, right? Like he literally said those words, okay? For a reasonable price. He said those words basically that any ship or any country can pay the U.S. Navy like bodyguards to get them through Hormuz. And you might be thinking, well, Trump is not going through the Strait of Hormuz because the Iranians, they're kicking the Americans' asses, and it's too dangerous. And yes, I think that's correct. But you don't understand that right now, this situation is driving up the price of LNG so high that the United States are making a goddamn killing. They're making a killing. Look at the shares of companies look, this is Venture Global, for example. Do you notice the two spikes, where the two spikes are? Do you want to take a guess where these dates are? That's right now. And that's last year when they bombed Iran in 2025, in June. Right? How about Shenry Energy? Same thing, right? ExxonMobil, through the roof. Why is ExxonMobil through the roof when their oil well just got blown up in Qatar? Turns out the Qataris have been investing in Texas with ExxonMobil. So you see, some of these companies, they've got like hands everywhere, right? They own some of the wells, and they own some of the some of the areas in the Middle East, the physical extraction points of the gas and the oil, and some of them own just the refineries. The ones that are purely about extraction or production, their shares haven't gone up a lot. I think it's 1%, right? But the companies that are refiners, those that specialize in LNG, their shares are through the roof. And this sounds perplexing because the price of oil is going up as well. I'll get to oil in a second, but I'm just trying to impress upon you the point that all of these stocks are going up, right? All of them through the bloody roof, which doesn't make sense, right? If you listen to the mainstream media, because they talk about, oh my God, it's an energy shock and it's an energy crisis. Yeah, but this is not the United States of 2003. This is not the United States of 1973. This is the United States that is the #1 exporter of refined fuel and the #1 exporter of LNG. They're energy independent. And they're solidifying their dominance over the planet right now. They're switching from the petrodollar to the LNG dollar. Well, switching is perhaps not the right word. They're combining both of these things. You understand? It's extraordinary. It's bloody extraordinary. This is from the Financial Times. U.S. liquefied natural gas exporters are racing to capitalize on a 50% price surge in European and Asian markets. So you see how gas is not like oil. Gas prices go up for us in Europe. They don't go up for the Americans, right? It's a very good situation for them. Very, very good. What a racket! I've never seen anything like this in my life. And I cover this shit for a living. Oh my God, right? Triggered by the conflict in Iran, not triggered by Washington, which started a conflict in Iran. That's a funny way to phrase it. Which knocked out supplies from LNG powerhouse Qatar. What a shame. What a terrible coincidence. Oh my God, look at all this money. And this is the best part, right? Traders and other buyers of US LNG are rerouting their cargoes to take advantage of skyrocketing prices. So basically, this is the other beautiful thing about this whole plan, is the United States has these ships that take the LNG over and whoever buys it. And not all of them are in long-term contracts. So right now, you have ships that are rerouting their destination because somebody was willing to pay higher. Right, so that's the level of extortion and blackmail that the United States have imposed on the planet. Now it's extraordinary. They have gas taxis or gas Ubers riding the goddamn oceans this second and just changing destination to whoever is willing to pay the most for the gas. I've never seen anything like this. It's comical. It's literally comical. Unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. US LNG destination flexibility.